Russia uses the Rus in a dramatic collapse of one of the war's key front lines. Russian soldiers withdrew from their main stronghold in northeastern Ukraine as Ukrainian forces advanced rapidly. If you want to learn more, keep watching this video till the end. After a swift assault by the Ukrainian forces, Sia has abandoned its key position in northeastern Ukraine, thereby collapsing one of the war's main front lines. After a quick assault by Ukrainian forces, the rebels suddenly abandoned their major holdout in northeastern Ukraine. It's a release that the Ukrainian people have been waiting for over a year. President Zelensky has claimed that Ukrainian army has liberated almost 6,000 square kilometers from Russian control, including a few towns in the Donbass that the Russian army occupied for months. Any news from a place that has recently been freed is met with rapt attention. Experts watched a brief video with rapt attention as Ukrainian troops enter Balaklia, the first of the major towns in the Kharkiv region to be freed. The town's women came up from the cellars to welcome the soldiers and invite them to remain for dinner. There were still pancakes, so they told the boys. The troops begged off, saying in a tone normally reserved for moms, "We can't now, please, perhaps a bit later. We have to continue, and it's hazardous here. You have to be taken out of here." The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces has informally banned access for any journalist to the front line throughout this operation, making it incredibly impossible for anybody to verify what is happening on the ground. It appears the Ukrainian military has not only advanced the front line, but has broken the line and is now making more significant headway deep into the rear of the Russian military. In one of the cities, Ukrainian authorities reportedly discovered 20 million Russian rubles, about 29,000 pounds left by the occupant. Russian forces have abandoned their positions en masse, leaving behind equipment, trucks, ammunition, and even money. A Russian general's attempt to justify the withdrawal as a strategic regrouping was mocked even by Russian propagandists. The Russians have probably made some monumental mistakes. One cannot rule out the possibility of an ambush. More and more evidence point to Russian military incompetence. Most people have a positive outlook. Russia's military has been waging an artillery war for the past 5 months, rather than participating in ground operations. However, the Ukrainian army claimed to have captured thousands of Russian soldiers as prisoners of war within days of this fresh operation. At least 8,000 Ukrainian servicemen are currently being imprisoned in Russian prisons, and this creates optimism that they may be freed and return for something. However, you should know that the road ahead is not smooth. Ukrainian troops are at the front lines, where they are frightened and dying. In the past several days, I've seen posts about members of the National Opera enlisting in the army and read about the deaths of a friend's fellow soldier in the Kharkiv region. Foreign specialists, diplomats, and reporters have been the most enthusiastic I've encountered. The Ukrainian people are optimistic, but they are also cautious. Everyone reading this right now has a friend, a family, or someone they know fighting on the ground somewhere, someone they can't get in touch with and who could soon be deployed. Where do we go from here? As a whole, it is reasonable to anticipate assaults against civilian infrastructure. The cities of Severodonetsk and Mariupol, which the Kremlin sought to conquer, were attacked, but the power plants in the remainder of Ukraine were spared. If the electricity grids were destroyed in November or December, just before the winter weather sets in, things would be really bad. 2 energy company workers were slain in Kharkiv, the second largest city in Ukraine, while attempting to restore electricity for millions. At this time, attention must be paid to free areas. As soon as Kyiv, Chernihiv, and Sumy were liberated in March, residents were tasked with getting their lives back to normal. This includes rebuilding, re-establishing gas and water lines, and reconnecting to the internet. The cities of Bucha and Irpin were bustling with returning citizens a week after the battle surrounding Kyiv ended. Residents in the retaken lands are being told to leave, as they were forbidden to do so by the occupying Russians. Far too many homes have been destroyed, and the freed villages have become the new front line. They lack not just gas, water, and electricity, but the Russians who formerly supplied them. After being used as a motto for the current phase of the conflict in Zelensky's recent address, Ukraine doesn't care if it goes without gas and power, as long as Russia isn't there to interfere. The new catchphrase is "without you." Abandon Russian equipment. In the Ukrainian Armed Forces, the Kraken Regiment is a notable volunteer unit. As he looked back, he saw soldiers of his squad climbing over the abandoned tank to inspect it. In essence, the vehicle will be switching sides by receiving a military makeover. 2 Russian military trucks were found within a single massive hangar. One had a telltale letter Z scribbled in white painted on the door. According to the Ukrainian soldier, Russian forces had been using the area to service their military vehicles. Someone on his team seemed to know what was going on. A huge crater had formed in the ceiling, suggesting that a bullet had plowed through it during Ukraine's onslaught. Shrapnel dents in the walls and twisted metal fragments strew the ground. What does this mean for the future of the conflict? Russian troops in the region were unled, and that the Ukrainian military's ability to organize, strategize, and execute such a startling attack spoke to their lack of preparation and planning. He contrasted Russia's control pullout from Kyiv in March with this weekend's retreat, during which forces simply up and departed, abandoning supplies, weapons, and vehicles, and concluded that organizationally, it shows that they don't have potential to even perform a calibrated pullback. Although the Russian army's chaotic withdrawal from Kharkiv does not and cannot speak for all Russian forces, it does provide a view behind the scenes of the current state of Russian military might. According to a situation report by the Institute of the Study of War, while Russia still controls large swaths of land in the south and east, doing so will be extremely difficult. As a result, Ukrainian troops who have been defending Izium and Slavyansk, its southern neighbor, are now free to join and reinforce the counteroffensive, ISW. A moral triumph for the Ukrainian armed forces is an added bonus. It's the first time the military has been able to take the lead and launch a significant attack after months of slowly surrendering villages and cities in the south and east to Russian authority. This demonstrates to Western backers the incredible effectiveness of the armed forces in the face of a superiorly armed and trained force. And since Russians have not been mining areas, they retreated as they did when they pulled back from around Kyiv. The ISW claims that the Ukrainian military may now access the weapons and supplies that the Russians abandoned when they withdrew. They're leaving behind a lot of things that the Ukrainian army could use, given that Ukraine has had a hard time convincing other Western countries, like Germany, to provide necessary supplies, and that the United States is running out on some items, such as the 155mm ammunition used in howitzers. These donations are much appreciated. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed today's video and found it interesting, then make sure to leave us a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell icon to be up to date with the most exciting content as soon as it's uploaded. Thanks for watching. See you again soon in another video.